This section is a lot of the same kind of stuff. The only difference is we got mixed numbers. So it may require us to change the mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay. So on these, I change these into improper fractions. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1, 7/3. 3 times 3 is 9 plus 1 is 10, so 10/3. And when I add these, I get 7 plus 10 is 17, and we have thirds. Well, it wanted a mixed number on this stuff, so 17 divided by 3, it goes into 17 5 times, minus 15, and we got 2 remaining, so the answer is 5, and 2 remaining out of 3 parts. I'm going to show this one a little bit different. I just hate this method, okay? Because it really opens the door for us to make a lot of mistakes, or just to not remember to simplify. So first off, we got minus the negative, so I'm going to change this into a plus right here. So what this means is that I got 4 and an eighth. That means I got 4 plus an eighth right there. Now we're going to add this to 2 and 2/8, which is really 2 plus 2/8. Okay, now again, I hesitate to do this because if it were negative, we'd have to subtract the fraction. So I can rearrange these using the commutative property. 4 plus 2 plus 1/8 plus 2/8. And 4 plus 2 is 6. And 1/8 plus 2/8, that would give us 3/8. There's our mixed number. But again, you have to be very careful using this, okay? Just please be careful. So number 3, you guys like that mixed number stuff. So I got -1. Now here's, again, this is the problem with the negative stuff is I'm going to subtract a 1/5 right here. Because that 1/5 also is part of that negative. Now we'll subtract 1/10, and we'll just look at the fractions from here. So 5, the common denominator is going to be 10. I'll have to multiply these by 2. So this becomes 2/10. So I have -1 minus 2/10 minus 1/10. Now notice I'm not changing that -1 into fractions, right? Because we're looking at mixed numbers here. So -1, and combining these, I got tenths, and right here this is considered a -2. Okay, and that's where sometimes we run into problems. -2 minus 1 would be, and we do have this -3 right there, okay? So as a mixed number, this ends up being -1 and 3/10. So -2 and 1/6, that's really -2 minus 1/6. And then we'll add this 3, and this one is plus the 2/3 because that's a positive 3. So rearranging these, I got my -2 and the 3, and then I got this -1/6 plus the 2/3. So -2 plus 3, that's going to be 1. So we should have 1 and something. Now we got -1/6 plus 2/3. We need common denominators, so I'm going to have to multiply the 3 and the 2 by 2. That'll give us denominators of 6. So working over here, I got -1/6 plus 4/6. This has a denominator of 6, -1 plus 4. That's going to be 3/6, which simplifies into 1/2. So the answer is 1 1/2. Right here, we got minus that negative stuff again, so I'm going to change that to a plus. So I really have -4 minus 1/7. And then we're going to add this to 1 and 3/14. So rearranging this, I got -4 plus 1 minus 1/7 plus the 3/14. Well, negative 4 plus 1, that's not too bad. That's negative 3. And over here, I need common denominator, so I'll make this 14. So I'll multiply it by 2. So this gives us negative 2/14 plus 3/14, which ends up being a positive when I combine these. I need a little bit more space. When I combine these, and this is a problem, I get a positive 1/14. So I can't just say I got a negative 3 and 1/14, because that's an add, the 1/14. They have different signs right there. So what we're going to have to do is find common denominators anyways. I need a little bit more space, so I'm going to do it over here. Negative 3 plus 1/14. And again, if this is still easier for you, then still use it, okay? So this negative 3 over 1, I need it to be 14, so I got to multiply these both by 14. So this is negative 42/14 plus 1/14, which would give us negative 41/14. So we want a mixed number on this. We know it's going to be negative, so I'm not too worried about the negative. It will just be negative. 14 goes into 41 twice, so that's 28, and I got 13 left over. So negative 2 and 13/14 would be our answer here. But I do want to point this out, okay? If you had negative 3, and you're going to take away just one of the 14ths, 1/14 of a part, I'm sorry, added. Well, all you're going to do is reduce your negative 3 by 1, and then just take away 1/14, so that'd be 13/14. I mean, that may be a little shortcut. It's a little intellectual, but it's doable too. So number 10, let's figure out what we need what denominator we want first. So 30, we may not need to go further than 60 on this, or we shouldn't. We got the 10, which would be 10, 20, 30. So there's the 30 thing. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, bam, we get 30. Sorry, that was a lot to list right there. So we know we have a common denominator of 30. Let's change these into improper fractions. Here, so 6 times 30 is 180 plus 2. That would be 182, negative. 182 over 30. And then we'll subtract this. By the way, yeah, some of you guys noticed we could simplify that. And that would be okay if you did that. It just, again, may not change how we look at this later on anyways. So the 10, 1 times 10 is 10, plus the 5 would be 15/10. And then 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3/2. And we'll keep those operations. Now, we can change these into common denominators. So the 10 I have to multiply by 3, so the 15 by 3 as well. That's 45/30. And the 2 would have to multiply by 15, and the 3 by 15 as well. 45/30. Oh yeah, they did. They gave us the same number there. And of course, we got the negative 182 over 30, minus this other stuff. All right, when I combine these, I should still have 30ths. And in a calculator, we could do this straight across. Negative 182 minus 45 minus 45 should give us negative 272. Again, a calculator should give us that pretty quick. And I'll just divide these, 272 divided by 30. That should do it 9 times. That gives us 270. with a remainder of 2. So this ends up being negative 9 and 2/30. But just be careful, that 2 and the 30 can be simplified. So this ends up being 9 and 1/15, because the 2 and the 30 can be divided by 2. There it is. Now again, this would be a common mistake that we see on tests, because we get so used to the multiplication stuff. Sometimes we just want to start adding the 30, so 30 plus 30 plus 30. But remember, that's only telling us how big the size of the pieces are, so we don't need to combine the 30s. And that's, again, that's only for multiplication that we do that.